Why do you find it difficult to open up to others? Would you like to have a more open attitude towards people around you, but don't know how to achieve it? Do you feel like you have some kind of block that makes you too defensive? We will tell you about some measures you can take to solve this problem. The world of emotions and dealing with them can be difficult. If someone says it's hard for me to open up to others, we might assume that they are shy, have a hard time getting in touch with their feelings, or maybe both. But in reality, it doesn't have to be the case. In fact, there are several reasons that can prevent us from sharing our emotional world with others. Before we explore these reasons, we should keep in mind that if we continually push others away, it will end up hurting us. While dealing with difficulties with defensive strategies may be the smartest thing to do in isolated circumstances, this is not the case in general. Social relationships are sources of health and happiness. But to build them with a solid foundation, we need to create intimacy. This can only be achieved by revealing oneself. It means exhibiting what we think, how we feel, and how we see the world. In order to process and overcome negative and complicated emotions, we must let them breathe. In other words, acknowledge them, identify what they are trying to tell us, and channel their energy through the pathways that interest us most. If we're not able to do that, they can get stuck. It can prolong the discomfort and even lead to somatic diseases. If you find that you have difficulty opening up to others, read on Why do you find it difficult to open up to others? Here are some of the main reasons why you may find it difficult to share your inner world with others. You may find that you can identify with several of them. 1. You have little contact with your emotions. There are many people who are not in touch with what they feel on a daily basis. They can e.g. feel anxious, stressed, sad or frustrated, but they are not aware of their inner state and do not stop to reflect on it. In fact, they just live on autopilot. If this sounds like you, you probably don't even understand what's happening to you. After all, if you don't share your feelings with yourself, it will be very difficult for you to share them with others. Consequently, your expressions of emotion, when they occur, will usually be explosive, impulsive, unceremonious, and not at all intentional. 2. You lack practice and skills. Expression of emotions is a learned skill. It is part of early socialization. It is linked to the family environment in which you grew up. In many families, feelings are not talked about, feelings are not expressed openly, and those who open up about their feelings are labeled as weak. If you grew up in this type of family, you have not had the opportunity to practice expressing emotions. Also, while you may now want to adapt a more open attitude, you probably don't know how. Perhaps your previous attempts were so clumsy that you ended up achieving the opposite, manifesting an even more defensive attitude because you feel so vulnerable. 3. Avoidant attachment style. An avoidant attachment style is formed when a child has caregivers who are not responsive to their demands and needs. When the child e.g. expresses an emotion, their reference figures respond with indifference, sending the message that they must deal with their problems themselves. Thus the child understands that it is useless to seek protection or help from others. If the people who love them don't help them, why would a stranger help them? If you have an avoidant attachment style, you hide your feelings and prefer to deal with them alone. This will make you feel really uncomfortable when showing your emotions or dealing with other people's emotions. 4. Fear of being vulnerable prevents you from opening up to others. Unlike the previous case, where the emotional world is uncomfortable, some people, even in the most intimate relationships, simply take a long time to open up to new people. They may be able to express themselves and share feelings with those closest to them. But when it comes to establishing new connections, They tend to stay on the surface. If you fit this pattern, you don't want to appear vulnerable or weak or overly dependent on someone if you don't know if you can trust them. But to create a bond, you have to take a risk. If you don't, you will find that your social circle will be really reduced. 5. The Knight on the White Horse Syndrome. Lastly, it is possible that if you have difficulty opening up to others, you may be suffering from the Knight on the White Horse or Savior Syndrome. This means that you give excessively to others, become completely involved in their lives and try to solve their problems for them. You feel very comfortable talking about other people's feelings, intervening and even taking responsibility for them. Yet, paradoxically, you leave your own feelings completely out of consideration. In addition, you rarely ask for help, lean on others or show a need for affection, comfort. Instead, you are the first to offer all of this, often in extreme form, to the people around you. There are people who focus so much on others that they disconnect emotionally from themselves. This is how you can open up to others. If you find it difficult to open up emotionally to others, you miss the opportunity to connect and receive support. Here are some guidelines you can use. Begin to pay more attention to yourself and get in touch with your feelings. Instead of getting carried away or suppressing them, take a moment to reflect on what you're feeling, name the experience and understand why it is there. Understand the importance of making deep connections with others. Remind yourself of all that you are losing because of fear, and all that you would gain by allowing yourself to be intimate with others. You will find it motivating. Start practicing. It is the best way to overcome your fear. You can start with therapeutic writing. Get used to putting your feelings into words and expressing them. Then choose someone you trust and start opening up to them at your own pace. You will find that their reaction will be more pleasant than you expected. Observe and appreciate when others open up to you. They can serve as a role model and inspire you to do the same. Simply put, opening up to others involves overcoming your fear of being vulnerable and giving your feelings the importance they deserve. After all, you have the right to be heard and supported by others. You must not keep denying it, but let it happen.